Welcome back. Time for part two of the Academy Sherman with Calliope build. I got the first two steps completed, which were is all the running gear, drive sprockets, idlers, wheels, and bogies assembled. So the next part will be to start attaching some of the parts onto the lower hull. As you can see here, I put the bogies in place. They're not glued. They snapped on there quite tightly. But what I wanted to do was put them on the hull and then cement them so the suspension wouldn't swivel, pivot, whatever you want to call it, because I don't want any track tension to pull the wheels and the suspension out of whack whenever I get the tracks on. So those have been attached on there, cemented, set it on a level surface, and then cemented all of it. So these are all done. All the bogies are complete. So I can pop these off, and then I can start working on the hull parts, the rear hull plate, the front sidewall extensions, final drive, and then it shows to attach the wheel or the bogies, the drive sprockets and such. And I'm not going to do that because I like to leave those off for painting. So I'm going to go ahead and take the rest of these off, get all my parts cut, and then start cementing it all together. Okay, so on the hull here, as I pointed out, there's these weird circles going on right here. I don't know what kind of weird molding thing that is, but I need to remove them before I can do the rest of these parts. So what I'm going to do is use this flat blade right here, and I've already started one over here, and they're really easy to get off. So I'll just kind of scrape those off, and then I will sand it. It's already scraped off and it's smooth. I'll just lightly hit it with sandpaper or the like, and you know, it might be a little bit rough. It's not really, it's really super smooth, but if it's kind of marred, it's not really going to matter because number one, it's back inside of there, and like I showed on the photo, it's going to be covered in mud, so I'm not going to be too concerned about this, but I do want to get those raised edges off. So I will get those off, and then I will get these parts cleaned up and attached to the vehicle and see what we have. Alright, so steps 3 and 4 are complete with the back plate, the associated parts, these two front extensions of the sides of the hull. As I mentioned before, no suspension items or running gear will be assembled onto the kit yet. I did, however, attach them, level it up, and cemented everything so they are solid, so they'll sit nice and flat. So the next part is installing F34, which is the transmission cover, and the bolt strip. Now the bolt strip I'm not actually going to install yet because I want to wait until I do the upper hull and actually attach that. That way I can make sure this fits exactly right between the lower and upper hulls once they are put together. So I'll just set this aside for now and wait. So I've got the transmission cover attached to the kit. Everything fit like it should. No surprises there. Everything was fine. So I can set the lower hull aside. So that basically completes step number 5. So now it's step 6 and 7, which is the engine deck and some of the parts. So I'm going to go ahead and start working on all that, and then come back. If there anything difficult comes up or out of the ordinary, then I'll talk about that further, but for now I'm just going to go ahead and assemble all this. Okay, a quick note on the hull before I start attaching parts. I figured it'd be best, I wanted to drill drain holes for the fuel filler caps, which there's one here, and there'll be one here. On reference photos I've seen, it looks like there's one in the curved bullet splash shield for the fuel cap here, and then there's either one or two. I don't know if there was like different factories did different things, but they would have one or two for this fuel filler cap. So what I did is I did one here and here, and I'm getting ready to do this one. But what I did, instead of trying to drill it all the way through and potentially, you know, having it come out high or low on either side, I just drilled here on the outside and here on the outside, but didn't go all the way through. Just made it deep enough where it, you know, it'll look like it's all the way through. And then I did the same thing on this side. It's only a partial hole that way. You know, when I weather it, it's going to be filled with. Oh, there it went all the way through. Gotta be careful, because see, I scuffed a little bit right there. That's going to be covered by fuel, but I just went part way just to give it the illusion of being a hole that's all the way through. Except, of course, on this one, which really is all the way through. So, anyway, that's something that if you're considering doing it, you might want to do it before you start attaching all the parts that can break up while you're holding it, trying to drill holes. So anyway, I'll do this side and then start attaching all the parts. Okay, another quick note on the step number 6 is cementing the rear deck plate and the doors. Now on these doors, as you can see right here, these are molded on handles, and those things drive me nuts because they look dumb. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut those off flush onto the these access hatches, make sure they're nice and smooth. And normally I would use my pin vise and a drill and drill holes and make some wire handles. However, because this kit comes with so many extra parts from being an amalgamation of different kits, Sherman kits, there are some extra parts here, namely on sprue F, number 35, and there are 4, and they're small handles, as you can see. Let's see here. Right there, these 4 handles. So what I can do, they're a little bit tall, so what I can do is I can cut them off, cut about half of this length off, and then cement those into the spots where they go right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut those off and get them glued on, and then let you see what they look like afterwards. That way, you know, you have a little bit more realistic looking handles than these wonky looking molded on things that just drive me crazy. Okay, so I'm going to cut those off, attach those, and we'll take a look. Okay, so here is the engine hatch, engine cover, whatever you want to call it, with the new handles installed. And it was really quick, really easy, and not a whole lot of fuss. As you can see on this one here, I just cut it off, cut the old handles off flush, and then got the new handles, trimmed that bottom part off like I was talking about, so they're not too tall, because right off the sprue they would be too tall. So cut them off, glued them on there, ready to go. So all I got to do is that one, and then I can continue on with the rest of the upper hull parts in steps 6 and 7. So if anything weird arises, I will cut in and talk about that. Otherwise, I'm just going to build all this up and show you the end result. Alright, so I've got steps number 5, 6, and 7 completed. And that basically covers everything on, well, maybe not everything, but a lot of the upper hole steps. I got the molded on handles replaced by loop handles. I've got the holes drilled for the drain, where the drains for the fuel filler caps are. Got the front hole parts installed. I have not, as you can see on the instructions here, I have not attached the bolt strip to the hull. Got a notation here to attach it after the upper hole's in place. That way I can make sure it lines up properly. Just a few notes on these parts. These two, the driver and radio operator hatch, they're really they don't fit that well. On this side here, this back hinge point doesn't sit down far enough for the hatches to sit flush with the hole openings, the hatch openings. So I had to modify them a little bit just to get them to sit a little bit flatter. It's still not sitting as flat as I would like. They just don't fit real snug, but they look okay. The small parts, the periscope guards, they were fine. Hooks, the machine gun, I bored the tip out with a number 75 wire drill bit, and the lights and the fuel filler caps. So steps 5, 6, and 7 are complete. So I'm going to end this video here and begin the next one with steps 8 and 9. So until next time, thanks for watching. As always, leave comments below if you have them, and I'll see you next time on Plastic Models by a Regular Dude.